What's going on, everybody? Now, you don't have to be following my page for any more than a few days to hear me repeat this phrase, which is probably one of my favorite phrases ever. Not probably, it's just a matter of, is it my favorite? I have like two or three that I always say. One of them that I made up, that was like a variation of something that was told to me in like parable form. But another one that I just heard one day that I was like, this is applicable to everything in my life. That saying is the title of this video. The day you plant the seed is not the same day you eat the fruit. And this right here that I'm about to talk about is truly the definition of that. Okay? Now, I can officially announce to everybody on my page, I've been talking about this to my channel members for at least a few months, because when I was going back through my 2024 history, because I was trying to see if I could squeeze in a compilation video of my highlights of 2024. I didn't realize that it was since July that I met Kara at that event. So it's actually it's going to be about 6 months from the time that I met her the first time till the time that I'm getting this interview done. That might sound like a long time to somebody, but that's not even the half of it. I can't remember the year, but I want to say either 2021 or 2022. I'm hoping to find this email before the interview starts so I can show her, but even if I don't find the email, I'm still gonna mention it to her, which is that at least 2 to 3 years ago, she was one of, if not the first people that I ever reached out to for an interview. It was when I started learning about going on Instagram bios of these TV show people, and then it says like email. So I'm like, oh, okay, email. So DMing, for anyone that doesn't know anything about trying to get an interview through DMs, or even just trying to communicate with some form of celebrity on DMs, it's a slim chance that they're even going to respond to you. So that was my initial method of trying to reach out to these people. I'm like, all right, let me try to ask them for an interview via DMing them. I was having almost no success. The only way I ever succeeded with DMing someone and getting an interview with them is if they were not so lit. I'm not going to name names, but I am going to say the people that I secured interviews with through DM were pretty much people with small fan bases that, I had friends that rivaled that or surpassed their fan bases, and they've been on TV. But that was really just because they were a little older and they were not part of this. It's not because they were never lit. It's because during the time that their season was lit, it was before this era, right? So except for the only person who I ever DM'd and got my interview through DM that had a lit page that was popping like that was Sam. But that was only because I met her prior, and I was scared that interview wasn't going to happen, because she was like, oh yeah, shoot me a DM and we'll make it happen. And I was like, can I get something else? Can I get an email? Like, I don't even have to get your number or anything, but just give me something that makes me feel more secure than 500 plus thousand follower Instagram page where you probably get DMs left and right because you just won a season of The Circle. But I harassed her until she actually fulfilled that. So shout out to her. But anyways, I say all that to say, there was a time period where Cara Maria was not on the challenge. And we've heard multiple reasons for that. But I mean, I think that was handled behind the scenes. But what I've heard about the reasons that she wasn't on there was like a combination of things. There was a season, I can't remember which one it was now, but there was a season that Paulie was supposed to be on. And he was going to be on that season. He was casted for that season. And then he made some threatening comments, I guess you could say, on social media. And then prominent castmates like Bananas and some other people showed those comments to production and said, you know, like, I don't know if they gave an ultimatum or they just said, I don't want him on the show, but for whatever reason, he was not allowed to be on the show after that. And I believe that Cara was, you know, being loyal to him and was like, if he's not going on, I'm not going on. And then I think that she made some kind of comments about production. I know she made some kind of comments about production, but it's like, I don't have all the details about the behind the scenes behind that, so I'm not going to dive too deep into that. But for whatever reason, she was on an extended hiatus from the show. Interestingly enough, on home turf, they made it sound like she chose the hiatus for a mental health break. I think it was more like it was a combination of her and production, and then also, yeah, she needed the break, but they wanted a break from her as well. But anyways, during that time period, I found the email address that she had for her management team on Instagram. So I went on Instagram, I clicked on the email address listed there. Hi Debbie and hi Queen. Hold on one second. I'm gonna try to do something real quick. See if I can do this. I don't know why it's not showing me what I need right now. Okay. Anywho, yeah, she took this break from the challenge, and I reached out to the management team. I said, hey, my name is Mark. I'm a big fan of Cara Maria. I would love to know what she's been doing now that she's not on the challenge anymore, like how she has gotten through different challenges she faced on the show and overcome and become a challenge champ. And at this point in time, like, I'm thinking that she's never going back to the challenge at that point in time when I sent that message. And I said, I have a channel that focuses on mental health. That was back when I was doing primarily, I didn't have this channel that I have now, and I was just doing my music and mental health page. So I said, I'm going to ask questions from a mental health focus, blah, 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 whatever I said. So the manager said, unfortunately, Cara Maria is not doing interviews at this time because to protect her mental health, ironically, right? And the manager was like, but I told Cara Maria about your page, and I don't know if maybe she said she checked it out, or maybe she didn't check it out. Maybe she was just going off of how I described it. But she said, Cara Maria said to let you know that what you're doing is badass. So I felt good and bad at the same time. I felt good because it was like, it's cool that the manager said that Cara, said to relay that message to me. I'm like, that's dope, somebody that I'm a big fan of thinks that the things that I'm doing are dope. But on the other hand, I was like, I'm trying to get this interview. And she said no. And at that point in time, I didn't really have an interview resume, nor did I really have the confidence to feel like I could get interviews. Because when I first started out, I had no connections. I didn't know anyone from the podcast world. I didn't have some kind of mentor. I didn't even really watch too many vlogs or podcasts, relating it to the field that I was trying to do. It's just like I was just trying to do something on a whim. So when I used to ask people, I used to have to go to great lengths. I would write these long explanations about who I am and what I do, because when you don't know, when you're not a known entity within a community, you have to go the extra mile to be like, this is who I am and what I'm about, because you don't have the numbers. Because this world that we're in right now is based upon numbers a lot of times. So I don't have the 50,000, 60,000, whatever, 20,000 subscribers to make people automatically be like, oh, this is that page that people are always talking about, or this is a page that's going to boost my profile because it's going to go around to the masses or whatever. Or this is another show cast person who also has a big following, like going on a Johnny Bananas podcast, or going on Wes's Patreon, or going on even Zach Nichols podcast, or whoever does their podcasting thing. So I felt dejected. I was like, and I went around from then, and there was other big name people that I was trying to get. I tried to get a Taylor Hale interview. I tried to get but I know that there was plenty of people that I tried to score these interviews with that were either telling me no, or they were telling me like, let me check out your page and get back to you, and they just never did, or they said no. And I was just like, shoot, man, I believe in my ability to do interviews, but how do I get these interviews? All right. Y'all know the drill by now. Brief intermission. I won't leave y'all in the car today, but brief intermission. Don't worry. Got a thing. Every little thing. Okay. Thank you. All right, y'all. Told you there was going to be a brief intermission. It was only about a minute and a half, 2 minutes at the most. Okay, so who are we here? Where are we here? All right. So yeah, she told me that the page is bad. The page is badass or whatever. So I was like, you know what? Reached out to this person, that person, and I only used to reach out to people that are on the caliber of Kara or better. I reached out to high profile, very popular reality TV people. I reached out to celebrities. Like I was like, you know what, it can't hurt if they have an email address. Let me reach out to Michael Jordan. I didn't reach out to Michael Jordan, but I'm just saying these are the caliber of people that I reached out to. I'm like, let me reach out to Michael Jordan. Let me reach out to Serena Williams. Let me reach out to I was just like, if I just throw my name in the hat enough, somebody's gonna respond. And I threw my name in the hat a lot. Nobody responded or granted me what I wanted, which was this interview. So at that point in time, I was just like, it's not that I didn't have the confidence in my ability to give a good interview, but it was just like, within this realm that I'm trying to enter, nobody knows who I am. And when nobody knows who you are and you don't have the numbers, you don't get the interview. It's as simple as that. And I was like, and it was like the same kind of concept of what you feel like at work, where you're like, how do I get the experience? You know, like I would give you the interview if you had the experience. I remember one of the first people, or the first person who ever promised me an interview, Seaburn. If you remember Seaburn from season 1 of The Circle, I asked him for an interview. He said something to the effect of like, once you get your page together, because I didn't have any interviews on the page. It's like, once you get your page together, reach back out to me and I will definitely provide you an interview. I was like, yo, dope, I'm gonna get Seaburn, right? Because he was one of my favorites from season 1 of The Circle. And I got my page together. I think I've had about 3-4 interviews on the page by the time I reached out to him. And I think that basically everyone I got for those interviews, well, I shouldn't say everybody. There were some that had much bigger fan bases than him and some that had less. So it was a mixed bag. But anyways, yeah, so I reached back out and he just didn't respond to me. And then my next interview that I was supposed to get, y'all know Indy, Big Brother 24, I think she was on that season. Yeah, she was, Big Brother 24. And y'all know that whole debacle that was like, yes, she said yeah, or her management said yes, and then left me hanging. And then a Survivor interviewer, the same thing happened. It was a whole mess, man. So at a certain point, I said to myself, I'm not going to focus on getting interviews anymore. This was like late 2022. I did have a couple interviews under my belt by that point, but I said, I'm not really going to focus on interviews anymore. I am going to just focus on, you know, making my page the best that it could be. If I happen to score an interview, I happen to get one. And if I don't, I don't. But I'm not going to, like, put all my eggs in one basket and hang my hat on whether I get an interview or not. Right? So what ended up happening from there, to keep going, because this all connects to this Kara thing of me asking for that interview 3 years ago or 2 years ago. That was out of my mind. And when I say out of my mind, I don't mean in the back of my mind, I mean out of my mind. Then I started accumulating some other interviews. Sam, Chaz, Shuby from The Circle, Wes Bergman, twice, 2 Wes Bergman interviews, John Brennan, Ayana, Alyssa Lopez, Hannah Chada Turner, Carrie Moore, who was a therapist on what's that show, Summer House. Who else am I feel John Brennan. That might be it in terms of TV show interviews. But anyways, I was getting my weight up. What I mean by getting my weight up is I was building up my resume and my skills. And then in between that, I was going to events where, even though a lot of these people did not agree to do interviews with me, we spoke. Like, I spoke to these people for great lengths of time, and like interview lengths of time. There were certain people that I met at these events, and we would sit and chop it up for half an hour, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. If there was no camera on, we would have amazing conversation. But as soon as I said the word interview, they were like, oh no. And I get it now, because a lot of these people have been traumatized by being asked questions in interviews that just catch them off guard. And then they say something, and next thing you know, they're publicly scrutinized and clipped up, because that's happened to me too. So I get that. So I get why as soon as I said interview, those genuine and kind and nice interactions suddenly became really guarded. But anyways, I built up my confidence, is what I'm trying to say, through meeting challengers, Big Brother players and Survivor players and other shows and Circle people, the Mole. Like, I met a whole bunch of people from all these different shows. And oh, by the way, shout out to you, Debbie, because you got a free membership from membership gift from Edward. Forgot to say that. I said it yesterday when you weren't on here, but saying it again while you're on here. So built all the confidence up, and then I'm sitting down one day in June or July, and I happened to go on Kara's Instagram page. She says, meet me in New York. I don't know what it's for, but I'm like, she's coming to New York? Because she's in all these other places, California, Florida. She's outside the country in Europe. She's here, there, and everywhere. But I had just never really seen New York in recent years. I think that she used to go to New York quite a bit, but she hadn't been here. At least not for anything where fans could meet her at in a while. So I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. Fibroids event. Fibroids awareness event. So long story short, since I've told that story before, I was like, let me go over there and meet her. And I do have a goal. I was like, you know what? Maybe this is an opportunity for me to get that interview that I wasn't able to secure before. Because before, I assumed that my page was kind of relayed to her through the manager, and she never really checked it out herself. And it was just, like a fan wants to interview you. He has 100 followers, and it's like, oh, cool, that's nice, but no. So I was like, maybe I can make an impression in person, and then we can get it done that way. And I made a huge impression, as y'all saw. And after that, I was like, this significantly increases my chances of getting this interview. And I asked for the interview after that interaction. I DM'd her. She responded. I mean, she posted me in her story. So I took that time to respond to that DM, as I had done with other people who put me in their stories. And I was like, hey, I got a page. This is what I use the page for, blah, blah, blah. I would love to give you an interview. She says, I would love to do an interview with you, but my schedule is extremely busy. Now, 3 years ago, where I was mentally in that particular space, if I heard I would love to do the interview, but I'm particularly busy right now, my brain would automatically hear no. No, like that Bugs Bunny meme. No. But where I am right now, I didn't hear no. I heard the day you plant the seed is not the same day you eat the fruit. Seed planted. That's what was going on in my head. And I was like, I don't know if there's going to come a time where I get to see her again. I don't know if there's going to be a time where I get to speak to her again. For all I know, this one interaction that we had right here could be our only one. And if it is, it was a memorable one. So I'm grateful for that. But I was just like, I planted a seed. And if it's meant to happen, an opportunity is going to come around. That's circumstance number one. Number two, we get into October. I wanted to do a cameo for my birthday. I was about to do the cameo with Wes because I had gotten a cameo from Wes before, and it was one of the best cameos that I've ever sent because it wasn't a cameo from me. So it was one of the best cameos I ever received. And turn this car off. Actually, yeah, let me turn it off. Okay. And honestly, I was just about to book the thing. I even got into Wes's inbox and I was about to inbox him. Hey Wes, I want this cameo for my birthday. This and this. This is what I need you to say. Da, 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 da. I had already thought it all out. And I was literally in his inbox, typed out what I wanted. And then at the last minute, I was like, I've already gotten several things from Wes. I have 2 interviews with Wes. I paid for a cameo from Wes. I've interacted with Wes so much at this point. Not that there's anything wrong with Wes, because my interactions with him have been amazing. But I was like, I want to get one from somebody else. Who can I pick? Thought about it. And I was like, you know what would make such sense? Is to get a cameo from Kara. It's about the same price. And it's going to keep my name in the rotation. Because I have learned, even if you go to an event, even if you do something that makes an impression on somebody, they go around and around, they go to other events, they do other things, they forget you just like that. Like Olivia, y'all saw my video with Olivia. When I gave her that trophy and she dropped it and everything, she looked me right in my eye and said, oh my God, I will never forget you. Same thing Kara said to me at the Fibroids event when I gave her the stars. She was like, I'll never forget you. Next time I saw Olivia, I had to explain to her who I was. She remembered after I explained, but it's not like she looked at me and was like, oh yeah, I know you. The only people who have ever done that after meeting me once is Tori, Hannah, and I think that's pretty much it. Big D, it took him like 6 times of meeting me to remember who I was. Like Aza, it took her like a good 3-4 times. So yeah. So I was like, you know what, to keep my name in the rotation, plus, I'm a fan, so I would like to get a cameo from her. The cameo was awesome, as y'all saw. I still want to say the best one that I've ever received. And then she was like, I'll see you. I hope I'll see you at either the Zach Nichols podcast or the Challenge Mania event. And neither of those there was reasons why I might not have gone to either of them, but I did end up at the Challenge Mania event. And then when I saw her at the Challenge Mania event, I was like, what can I do here? Because I don't want to just gift her something again. I want to do something more unique than that. What can I do? So then, the Carl thing happened. And then from there, I was like, let's knock on this door again. So I knocked on the door again, meaning, hey, like, let me see if I can try to get this interview again. And I asked her, and she said, sure, I'll do the interview with you. Are you going to be in Orlando for this, like, fan thing that they do every year? And I was like, nah. She was like, I'll do one in person with you for free. And I was like, of course. Of course I'd get that offer when I have no chance of me finding a way to just up and go to Orlando for the weekend. But I still hadn't given up at that point. So now we come around to December, because that event was like end of November, and I went on her website and found out that you could just book her to do the interview. But I was on the fence, like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? I asked my channel members. They were like, not only were they like, it's worth it if it's something you really want to do, and also they're like, we will contribute. So I got about, I don't say my fans, my subscribers, I don't even want to call you fans, but my subscribers contributed about 60% of the cost towards that interview. I paid for the rest. And we went back and forth figuring out what day we were going to do it for. And we decided on January 6th. And it was such a full circle moment for me. And it's the reason why I say the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit, right? So in this particular case, it means that I wanted to get this interview whenever that was, 2021, 2022. And when I asked the first time, I was dead set on doing that interview at that time. I had very little experience, right? I had not much interview skills. I was just like, I have questions that I want to ask her, and I think that it's a possibility I could be good at that. It wasn't even that I had subscribers like I do now who have seen my interviews and were telling me like, hey Mark, I would love to see you get this interview because I think you would be good at doing this interview. This was just me going out on a whim, like, this is just one of my favorite people on the show and I just want to interview her just because. And in my head, that was the right time. In my head, that was the perfect time, right? But as I think about things right now, and how I am right now, and where she is right now, I feel like that was not the right time. That could have been an okay time. That could have been a good time, like Charicity said. It could have been a good interview, and it could have been a good time. But I feel like this is the perfect time, because this is coming off of the heels of her comeback from the flagship show. This is coming off the heels for me of a year and 3 to 4 months of retirement from doing interviews. And also, so many things have happened in my life since then. And I have like a bunch of interviews under my belt that I've done. So even if I'm a little rusty, I know the things that I like, some do's and don'ts. I've learned the game. And I feel like I was always good at conversation, but I feel like I'm better, way better now at interview specifically than when I asked her initially. I was just going to be off the cuff, figure it out as I go along. I feel like my process is so much cleaner and so much better. And I planted the seed, not the seed by my first time meeting her, but my first time that I said to myself, I think I can do good interviews. That was before I had ever done any. I was like, I just think that I can do that. And the reason I was saying I think I can do it is because my conversations with my friends and family were like interviews. And then I actually asked some friends and family, like, hey, can I interview y'all? They said yes. And then I had a whole interview series that I did on YouTube where I recorded myself interviewing my friends, making like documentary style interviews. And I said, if I can do this with them, what's the difference between them and challengers? They're people too. So as I locked in this interview and I realized this thing is locked in for the 6th, I was like, this is amazing. I'll never lose that feeling of excitement, of seeing a dream come into fruition, especially one that took you a long time to secure. Because I'm telling y'all, you should already know this. The harder it takes to acquire that thing that you were dreaming of and building up to, working towards, is the more it means to you when you actually get it. And this one means a lot. Trust me, y'all. This one means a lot. And I'm going to make the most of it. And y'all going to love it. I'm going to love it. Y'all are going to love it. And I plan to make this my best work. So if you are going for this opportunity and it doesn't work out the first time, or it doesn't happen right away, number one, don't think that it can never happen. And in some cases, it's not like it was a guarantee that this particular thing was going to happen for me. This is on the back burner. But if this hadn't happened, maybe something bigger would have come along. And that's that. That's how it's always happened in my life. So the day you plant the seed is not the day that you eat the fruit. Plant the seeds where you need to plant them. Be patient. There will be a season where all you're doing is trying to make sure those seeds grow into what you want them to be. And then one day you're going to sit back and reap the harvest. That's my message for the night. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. 10 days, y'all. Good night.